10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 100. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 100 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. I am Nick Manella. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We made it to episode 100. So happy that we could have done this, and for everybody out there who's been with us the entire time throughout the entire 100 episodes, thank you so much for making this possible and tuning in each and every week. I've had such a blast doing this for you guys, and I'm really looking forward to the next 100 episodes of this show. As you guys know, with jazz, there's no end to the things that we can talk about, the things I can show you, and just continuously learning together is one of my favorite things to do. So here's to 100 more. Hey, if you want to get the episodes, the PDFs to all 100 episodes of the podcast, that is 100 PDFs of individual lessons, go to our Patreon site, patreon.com/10-minute jazz lesson, or you can go over to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, and click on one of the Patreon links to go over there and get all the materials from this episode and every single other episode that we've ever done. We're also going to start doing some really exciting stuff here. Where I was thinking about the 100th episode and what we could do to bring even more value to you guys out there. We are going to be doing a monthly masterclass over Google Hangouts, and this is for Patreon members only. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop on a group call. We're going to do some Q&A. I'm going to come up with a topic, something that we can go a little bit deeper into than we can on these podcasts in just 10 minutes. We're going to do an hour-long masterclass / Q&A every single month from here on out. We're going to actually record those as well. So even if you can't tune in live, you're going to be able to find the link to those sessions on our Patreon site, so that even if you're busy on the day, we're going to try to do them on Sundays. That's going to be, I think, the best day for people to tune in. So if you haven't thought about joining Patreon and supporting us, this is another great reason. And my plan in the future is to actually hire some really, really amazing musicians to do some guest masterclasses for you. So if you haven't thought about supporting us, lots of great reasons to do so. Head on over to Patreon. It's only $3 a month. You get all of the PDFs from every episode, and now you're going to get a monthly masterclass and Q&A session with me, and then hopefully with some other fantastic musicians. So all the Patreon members out there, mark your calendars. April 22nd is going to be the first masterclass. I haven't figured out quite what time we're going to do it yet, but stay tuned to the show, and you will find out in upcoming episodes when we're going to be starting those. So April 22nd, mark it on your calendar. Will probably be sometime in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. All right, enough of that. Let's get into episode 100. So this is a topic where I think that on the surface, you might say, oh, geez, Nick, you really chose a pretty lame topic for your 100th episode. But if you really get below the surface, this might be some of the heaviest and most important stuff that you've ever worked on. So what we're going to be talking about today is the plain old humble major scale. But like the title says, we're going to be reimagining what we can do with this scale. I know that probably everybody out there has worked on their major scales extensively, at least I hope so. And we've talked about this scale a lot in some previous episodes, dealing with modes and certain things that are contained in the major scale that relate to music theory on a broader scale. But today we're going to be talking about taking a major scale and playing it in a way that maybe you've never thought about before. So if you look at your exercise sheet for this week, the first thing I've done is just printed a C major scale, right? Just so it's on the paper, you see it visually, you absorb it, maybe you play it a couple times so that you are hearing it, reminding yourself of what the interval structure is like in a major scale, I'm sure that most of you know that already, and it's not going to take too much for your ears to get wrapped around that. But I had a teacher years ago, I actually, forgive me, I don't really remember who it was that showed me this stuff. So if you're out there listening, then I'm sorry if I can't credit you with this, but I had it written in like an old notebook somewhere, and I decided to pull it out this week and practice it a little bit, and I figured it would be a great thing to present to you guys because I think it'll open up a lot of doors. So the first example is a plain old C major scale, right? Now, what we're going to do with the second example is we're going to play that same old major scale in the same order, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But what we're going to do is we're going to consciously displace everything by an octave, or in some case, 2 octaves. So you'll notice that I have a middle C written as the first note, then a D, an octave and a step above that, written as the second note, then an E, an entire octave and a step above that, written for the third note. Then I'm going to start going back down due to the limitations of the saxophone. I'm going to jump back down to an F, way below that. Then I'm going to jump down to a G, a seventh below that. And then I'm going to jump all the way up to an A. And then I'm going to go almost 2 octaves down to a B. And then I'm going to end on a C. So it's that same old C major scale, but what I'm doing is I'm taking the intervals that will normally be a major or a minor second, and I'm displacing them all by at least an octave. And what this does is it really, truly opens the sound into this completely different sounding thing that's still do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So let's check out what that sounds like, and I think it'll really open your eyes to some of the possibilities here. So you can hear, I mean, that's still just a major scale, but there's much deeper stuff going on in there. This is fantastic for your instrument, practicing large intervals, and it's also awesome just for hearing a scale in a different way. I like to relate this to cooking, where like, let's take an ingredient like garlic. Garlic has been around in cooking of almost every culture for thousands of years, but it's really what you do with that garlic. It's how you use it as an ingredient for the greater whole, right? How does it serve the dish? And there's still chefs out there that are really, really making tremendous strides using some of the same ingredients that we've used forever, but just using them in a different way. So that's a really great analogy for the major scale, which all of us know and love, and is probably one of the first things that we ever learned on our instrument. But how do you use it? Can you come up with a more inventive way to use it? So our next exercise on our PDF this week is the same kind of thing. We're doing these large octave displacements, but now we're descending on the major scale. So let's check out what this one sounds like. So again, every note in order, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but just displacing the octaves in such a way to make it sound like a totally different thing. So if you ever listen to some of the modern jazz masters and you wonder how they're getting those sounds and really pushing the boundaries of everything, this is one of the ways. They're just taking something simple and they're manipulating it in a brand new way, going a little bit deeper on some of these topics than maybe we would think to, and that's what makes them so great. So the next one, actually the next 3 exercises, what they're basically going to be is like a tone row, but only with the notes of the major scale. So if you don't know what a tone row is, originally what a tone row is described as is, you play every single note in the chromatic scale. You can't repeat any of them, but you do them in somewhat of a random order, right? That's what a tone row really is. So we're going to be doing that, but not with the chromatic scale, with the major scale instead. So if you look at the first exercise that I've written with these random scale notes, it's 1, 5, 7, 6, 2, 4, 3, 1. So that's every single one with the 1 twice. We want to start and end on the 1, but we're just going completely random with the notes and making a tone row out of it. Let's check out what that sounds like. So you can hear that's everything. And what this might do is it may open up some intervals that you don't normally use. It might provide a different, more kind of angular way to approach the major scale than like just simply running it up and down or playing one interval the entire time. I mean, all those things are really, really important. But again, we're trying to, like we said, reimagine these scales, practice them in a different way that I don't know, opens up some new doors for us, both orally and on the instrument. So the last 2 examples are, again, just these tone rows. And if you get really good at this, you can actually kind of do them on the fly, but that takes a lot of work. So let me play these last 2 examples for you just so you can kind of hear another 2 ways to do this in kind of the tone row fashion, and then we'll wrap things up. So here's the last 2 exercises. So something that I notice about those as I play them for you is that I'm thinking a little bit too tonally, like I'm always going 5 to 1 or maybe 3 to 1 or something that sounds really pleasing to my ear. So that's a direction that I need to go with it. I need to get a little bit more outside of the box and not always resolve 5 to 1 tonally like we do, because we do that so much in the music that we play, right? So there's just endless possibilities. I could work on this for 5 years and not really get to the end of it. So hopefully now you can see that while this may seem like, oh, it's just a major scale, it's really not. You can do about 1,000 things with this major scale if you're willing to sit down and figure out how to go beyond just playing the scale up and down. Now, you could do this with minor scales. You could do this with all the modes. You could do this with so many different possibilities that it could truly be a lifetime of work, just this one thing. And that's what we're really striving to do, or at least what I'm trying to do when I practice, is really just look at things from a new angle and figure out different and certain ways to do it. All right? So hopefully that makes sense to all you guys. Send me some messages. Let me know how you do your major scales. Let me know how you do some of this creative work if you've done any. And if you haven't, try it this week. See what happens. It's going to really burn some brain cells for sure. But that's a good thing. You know, we really like that. We like to really challenge ourselves and force ourselves to slow down and check out new things. All right, so if you haven't already, go over to Patreon. Make sure you get today's exercise, and there's 99 other PDFs over there. Again, we're going to be starting our monthly masterclass sessions for our Patreon members, so now is a really, really great time to join up, and for only $3 a month, you get that masterclass and everything else. Thank you so much for being with me for 100 episodes. Really, really excited about putting this one out and really excited about bringing you more every single week. So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye.